Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. President Muhammadu Buhari tells APC leaders to institutionalize the party as he recounts his experience during the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal judgment. United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs in Nigeria wants coordinated approach to address challenges faced by women and children in the Northeast. Northeast Development Commission visits terrorists-ravaged towns in Gombe, gives assurance of readiness to rebuild communities destroyed in the Northeast. And Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo to join other world leaders to bid farewell to late Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe ahead of state burial tomorrow. Now, for more information on our top stories, do visit our website, channelstv.com. YouTube.com/channelsweb has videos of all our shows. Let's take a look at some of those pictures that were sent into our portal, starting with this one from a community in the Idemili North local government area of Anambra State. Our eyewitness reporter says the area has been submerged owing to poor drainage system, and he's calling on the state government to intervene. Next is this image from Okene Ajaokuta Road in Kogi State. According to our eyewitness reporter, the road, which is the main route to Ajaokuta Steel Company, has become a nightmare to commuters, and he's calling on the state government to intervene. This last one shows traffic at this bus stop along the Lekki-Ekpe Expressway in Lagos. Our eyewitness reporter frowns on the trouble commuters go through as a result of the bad road, and he wants the government to do something about it. Thanks a lot for all your pictures, and do send us some more. It appears the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission is clamping down on top officials of the Nigeria Football Federation. The anti-corruption agency today sealed the property of the NFF president, Mr. Amaju Pinnick, in Lagos, and that of second vice president Mallam Shehu Diko in Abuja. The commission said on its Twitter handle that it is investigating how the officials allegedly converted money meant for the federation to personal use. Mr. Pinnick, Mallam Diko, and 3 others of the federation are expected to appear before a federal high court in Abuja on September the 26th over alleged diversion of FIFA grants. A day after the northern state governors agreed to support the federal government's National Livestock Transformation Plan, the governor of Benue State says he is also supporting the program. Governor Samuel Otom says the plan will bring an end to the farmer-herders clashes. He describes the people's resistance to the Ruga scheme and the cattle colonies as a stand for justice and truth, while also soliciting support for his plans to end the challenge of pension arrears. He was speaking in Makuri, the state capital, at the inauguration of special advisors and the board of the state's universal basic education.
People in this country who were insulting us, who were telling us that it was wrong for us to enact a law, have keyed into the law that we enacted. And today, Nigeria have accepted that moving forward on this matter, it is to ranch, which is the global best practice in animal husbandry. And so, Benue people, you have set the space. You have become a model. It's Benue. But I didn't make the law. It was you, Benue people, that told me to make that law.
Let's cross over to Abuja now. Here's Ibrahim Adra. Ibrahim.
Many thanks indeed, Ijoma. Now, the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Mohammed Adamu, says community policing is the solution to insurgency in the country. He was speaking at the presentation of report in community policing, where he promised to implement the recommendations of the committee. And after receiving that report from the committee, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa, says the policy document has brought the country a step forward in the fight against insurgency. Our correspondent, Kela Megwa, reports.
According to the United Nations, over 1,400 Nigerians have been killed as a result of kidnapping and banditry since the beginning of 2019. The clamor for community policing has been on for years as a possible solution to insecurity in the country. In 2018, the Senior Executive Course 40 of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies in Kuru Plateau State, at the request of President Muhammadu Buhari, released a report titled Strengthening Policing in Nigeria, Policing Options and Strategies, covering rising insecurity in Nigeria between 1999 and 2018. On May 7, 2019, a committee set up by the SGF were given 2 months to come up with a policy document on community policing, and that policy document is being submitted here at the office of the SGF.
We highlighted the need for the Security Committee at the state and local government to be made functional and the involvement of all strata of society, including the integration of informal security aspects into community policing strategy.
The police say they are committed to community policing and are ready for its implementation.
The time has come that this community policing initiative must be implemented. And it is this report that we've been waiting for us to go ahead and do the implementation. I've gone all over the country and I informed Nigerians that the way to go in policing today is by a community policing initiative.
Receiving the report of the committee, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation commends the work they've done.
Oftentimes when we ask people to serve on committees, we forget that they have other primary responsibilities. In spite of that, you have discharged your responsibilities and the tasks assigned to you quite honorably. Let me also use the opportunity to salute your courage, hard work, and patriotism, as without this, it would have been extremely difficult to complete the assignment in good time.
The rising level of insecurity in the country is one that requires all hands to be on deck. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation and the Inspector General of Police are certain that this report by the committee set up in May of 2019 will go a long way in ensuring the implementation of policing at the community level. That way, they believe this menace can be stopped. Kayla Magwa, Channels Television News.
Scary, but those are pictures from 6 communities in Shiroro and Lapai local government areas of Niger State after a heavy downpour that lasted for more than 12 hours today. The communities affected are Gurmana, Manta, Bonuku, Gungu and Falele, all in Shiroro local government, and Gulu in Lapai local government area. Although no casualty has been reported, Channels Television gathered that several hectares of farmlands, houses and animals were affected. The Director General of the State Emergency Management Agency, Mr. Ahmed Inga, says he could not yet quantify the extent of damage done. He says the agency has dispatched its teams to the area on the directive of Governor Abubakar Bello for an on-the-spot assessment of the situation. The latest flood comes less than a month after the flood disaster in Minna, the state capital, which left 3 persons dead and several houses and property destroyed. I'm moving on to Oyo State now, where Governor Seyi Makinde has increased the budget for education to 10%, with a promise to further increase to 12% by next year as part of moves to revive the sector. He says the last budgetary allocation to education by the previous administration was 3%. Governor Makinde also reiterates his commitment to the full upgrade of infrastructure in schools, give out books free and build capacity for teachers.
400,000. That's the number of out-of-school children in Oyo State, making it the second highest state in the southwest after Osun. That statistics is one that Governor Seyi Makinde finds disturbing and reason for his investment in education. And one of his ways of doing this is by increasing the state allocation to education from 3 to 10%, with plans to move it higher in 2020. He's also investing in physical structure with renovation where necessary. This school, Baptist Secondary School Oyo, is one of such schools. The commissioning of the 20 classroom building is the reason for this gathering.
The present government is more committed to the education of our citizenry, as the governor has committed at least minimum of 10% of the state budget to education. This action is in tandem with the view of the great sage Nelson Mandela, who posits that education is the most powerful weapon which can be used to change the world.
It's not just the building. Notebooks and textbooks for both primary and secondary schools are also ready for distribution to students across the state. But in spite of his investment and promises, Governor Makinde is still asking for help.
We're appealing to all good-spirited and well-meaning Nigerians to partner with the government of the state in eradicating illiteracy, and most especially in the area of infrastructural development in public schools. Education has been described as a tool for socialization, recognition, and advancement of the society and individuals. As oxygen is important to human existence, so also is education relevant to the development of the society and should be accorded the priority attention it deserves.
At the moment, there's about 13 million out-of-school children across Nigeria. Mr. Makinde believes that with more of such investment as this, your children will get better education.
The Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution has launched a campaign to address activities that have negatively affected the ecosystems. The Institute identified deforestation, poor waste management and air pollution as activities impacting the environment negatively. The Director General of the Institute, Professor Bakud, is asking the federal government to start a nationwide awareness campaign on the management of the environment for peaceful coexistence. He made the suggestions at a news conference to mark the 2019 International Day of Peace. When the news at 10 returns, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo to join other world leaders to bid farewell to late Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe ahead of tomorrow's state burial. That will be on our international scene with Around the World in 5. Do join us again.